What do you know? We are going over yet another one of these mailbags because they have been very useful in providing content during these dog days of summer where there's literally nothing happening. So, let's go out there onto a piece published the other day on July 30th by Peter Bowe. Alexis Lafreniere to the Rangers' top power play, defensive prospects. Here is your Rangers mailbag. Now, The Athletic, paid for material, you know the protocol, I say it every single time. You need the subscription to read this article, so we're not going to screenshot the piece itself. Instead, I'll leave a link in the description, so if you have the necessary means to access The Athletic, it's available there for you. However, Spectres Hockey has themselves a summary from yesterday's edition of the piece. Spectres from August 2nd, 2024. Lyle Richardson went out there and wrote about some of the ideas that Peter Bowe talks about in this Athletic piece. And it is very interesting. So let's go out there and see some of the ideas that are discussed on Spectres. Peter Bowe, in his mailbag article, was asked if New York Rangers goaltender Igor Shesterkin would accept a hometown discount, quote-unquote, to help the club when Alexis Lafreniere and K'Andre Miller are RFAs next summer. Bowe cited colleague Arthur Staple, who speculated recently that Igor Shesterkin's starting point in the negotiations could be 14% of the salary cap, which would be $12.94 million annually. While he may not necessarily get that much, it's hard to see him accepting a hometown discount. Spectre's note goes out there and reads this. This is Igor Shesterkin's opportunity to cash in big as a UFA. He's established himself among the NHL's elite netminders and is crucial to the Rangers' hopes for a Stanley Cup. They have to pay him top dollar. If the Blue Shirts bulk, he'll get it from another club on the open market. And this is another one of these Igor Shesterkin conversations, which, at this point, I feel like it's just kind of becoming what it is, and that's a weird way to say it, but I'll describe it like this. We've been saying the entire summer that Igor Shesterkin is going to be paid, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity for this guy to get earning potential over the next few months here. Whether he signs his contract extension tomorrow, or he signs it a year from now, his contract goes on till the end of 24-25, so he does have the opportunity to wait things out a little bit. But it doesn't change the fact that from a talent point of view, I think a lot of people would generally say that Igor should be the best goaltender in the NHL. And that's a weird way to say it. Should be, not is. I say that mostly because reputation-wise, I feel like Igor Shesterkin usually is the player that most fans think is going to win the Vezina or get the best numbers every single season until that doesn't happen. Either somebody comes out of the woodwork and absolutely dominates, or Igor and the Rangers don't have the best showing. It happens once in a while, right? I mean, Igor is in that territory where if he wins the Vezina every single year from here on till 2027, I don't think anybody's going to be too surprised. He's good enough to do that. But with that in mind, does that warrant the most expensive contract a goaltender has ever gotten in the NHL before? Honestly, you could make the debate yes, but I'm still kind of leaning more towards the idea that says, yeah, 13, 12, 11 million bucks, that's a lot of money for a goalie. Now, it works out. Sometimes Sergei Bobrovsky's making 8 digits and he won a Stanley Cup, so good on him. Maybe Igor Shesterkin making $12 million is gonna be the Rangers' version of Bob, a guy who totally redeemed himself. Luckily for Igor, he has never had to go through the ups and downs like Bob has had so far. Igor has only really had ups. Even in the seasons where Igor and the Rangers don't win, nobody really blames Igor, they blame everybody else. Igor has been one of the best consistent goalies in the NHL, and if you want to go down that path, it would be reasonable to say that whatever dollar amount he gets should reflect that. But of course, I mean, $12, $13 million, that is a long, long shot. So the question as to whether or not Igor would take a hometown discount, yeah, I could totally see him not doing that. Sorry. There also was another question asked in this same Peter Bowe mailbag piece. Another reader asked Bowe about the possibility of trading Artemi Panarin, pointing out that his offensive game does not translate in the playoffs. Bo noted that Panarin has a full no-movement clause giving him complete control. Even if he had agreed to a trade, the Rangers will not get equal win-now value in return. His production would be almost impossible to replace. And I wanted to include this in the video mostly because, it's right there. There are two Rangers things brought up side by side in the Spectre's hockey article, and I did think they complemented each other pretty well. But for Artemi Panarin, one of the best wingers in the NHL, the most expensive winger in the NHL too, AAV-wise the past few years, this is a guy whose overall level of talent is undeniable. It's just when you consider a few really rough runs in the playoffs, it becomes easier to start doubting Panarin in the same way other top-paid wingers in the NHL have been doubted in the past too. I'd say Mitch Marner is the main culprit when it comes to that identity of a guy who's very talented, who can produce a lot of points, and who has extraordinary scoring potential, but who disappears in the playoffs in the most inopportune times. Artemi Panarin, though, is kind of like a step above that. I mean, he had 120 points this season. Nice. 96 and 92 points the past 2 years. Nice. And he had 15 points in 16 games in the playoffs this year. Honestly nice when you isolate it, and when you take a look at the production he had against the Panthers, he had, 4 points in the 6-game sample against the Cats. That's not the best in the world, but it's certainly not bad. It's just when you consider the expectations, when you consider the fact that this guy was a 120-point guy. Getting 4 points in 6 games in the third round of the playoffs is unacceptable in many people's opinions. They'd say, hey, this guy should be the one who carries the load. Why are him, Zibanejad, and all these other guys not showing up and not producing? They need to do that. That's their role. And for Artemi Panarin to be making the most money out of every winger in the NHL the past few years, per season, there's an expectation that's attached to that. I don't want to make it seem like Panarin completely disappears in the playoffs. It's just, does he live up to the hype? Does he live up to the guy that he's supposed to be? No. That's the thing, though. If you wanted to force a trade, you wanted to say this would be better for the Rangers if it happened, it would be very difficult to get Artemi Panarin-like value on a win-now mode team in a Panarin trade. You would have a very difficult time finding a team to take him on at the full salary cap whilst giving up the amount of assets that would make things work in the eyes of the Rangers. You think about top-tier superstars getting traded. The biggest trade, I would say, maybe was the Tkachuk trade of a few years ago. And at the time, Tkachuk, top winger, gets traded for a big package of another winger in Huberdeau, a defenseman, and a bunch of picks and capital. That was seen as a pretty big win, but ultimately the best player out of the bunch was part of the Stanley Cup winning Florida Panthers squad just a year later. So it's kind of difficult to trade away guys who are in this echelon of player like Artemi Panarin is, considering the fact that he was literally third, fourth overall in NHL points? Yeah, he was fourth behind McDavid, McKinnon, and Kucherov. So out of everybody together, this is one of the guys whose value is just irreplaceable. You must not know about me. You must not know about me. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Firstly, about the idea of Igor Shesterkin taking a discount on a contract and the idea of an Artemi Panarin trade. Articles will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and read both of these yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.